This is to say a heartfelt thank you to all our citizens of Bengal, of Calcutta, because what a brave display of responsibility, what a brave display of civic sense the crores and crores of people of this state, of this region had put up during Durga Puja and then again after Kali Puja as well. It is your act of restraint and responsibility which made it possible that even today, when we are at the end of November, the second half of November, that still today the overall situation in the state remains to be reasonably under control. We had wished over a period of time that the testing in Bengal would be better, but it did not. But wherever, so sometimes, you make progress because of governmental public health, and sometimes you make progress in spite of the public health. But it has been your diligence and your perseverance which seems to have taken over whatever deficiencies in public health mechanisms that happened in our state. Time and again, we've been hearing a sort of a news about vaccines. We've heard about Pfizer, we've heard about Moderna, we've heard about the Russian vaccine Sputnik 5, on and off about India's vaccine, Covaxin, and of course Oxford AstraZeneca is there. And this can largely be divided into the good news and the bad news. The good news is that at a kind of time when even the World Health Organization and the CDC were happy to accept vaccines with effectivity of 60%, 70% or so. Today we've got these vaccines, trials, reporting data of around 90% plus efficacy. With a pinch of salt, that mind you, this 90%, 96% calculation is not a very straightforward calculation, because these trials, remember, they are not challenge trials. Challenge trials means that, I've vaccinated 100 people and have exposed that those same people to a dose, an inoculum of the infection, and then we wait and see that how many of them get infected. It's a very daredevil and at times a very dangerous thing to do. There are some challenge studies, I believe, which are going on in the world, but by and large, the large vaccine trials are not challenge trials. So what the companies, whether it is a Pfizer or a Moderna, they decide over there is they pick about 25,000, 30,000 people, and then they decide that according to statistical calculations, they decide that they are going to have an end point of their study would be to attain a certain number of infections. And supposing the number of infections was 200, then by the time in the entire study population 200 people got infected, you would see that how many were in the vaccinated group and how many of them were in the non-vaccinated group, and then you come to a conclusion through again intricate statistical methods that what is the percentage of efficacy. But never mind, whatever was the method, it remains that these vaccines are quite clever and quite successful. But the question remains that for an average Indian like you and me, are we getting engrossed in fairy tales? What difference are these vaccines supposed to make to you and me? Pfizer, for one, appears to be scientifically almost not applicable to India at all, because even though we have more than 24,000 cold chain distribution centers in the country, but at required temperatures of -60, -70, that is a heavy order, and I don't think we can manage to handle vaccines that require such a degree of supercooling. There is no way we can distribute such vaccines in the world, in throughout the country. Moderna, fair enough, that is slightly better. It stays okay at higher temperatures, 2 to 10 degrees. But the problem with Moderna is, number one, terribly expensive. For around $40 or so per shot, you require 2 shots. All vaccines require 2 shots right now. And if you look through the agreed distribution list of Moderna, which is being made in US, Switzerland, and Spain, then India does not figure in Moderna's distribution list. Fair enough. What happens to the Russian vaccine? Now, the trouble with the Russian vaccine forever has been the shortcuts that the Russian vaccine took in terms of, sort of shortcuts of scientific methods in order to to breast the tape, speed their way through the vaccine race, if there was ever such a thing called vaccine race, and because of which the scientific community world over is more than skeptical about the results of Sputnik 5. And surprise, surprise, they have ended up in India, and once they end up in India, they have held hands with some big Indian pharmaceuticals and trying to sort of try to muster up some trial activity in India. Now, on their own, you see, Indian pharmaceuticals, it has research and conducting clinical trials, fundamental clinical trials, have never been the strong point of Indian pharmaceuticals. So there will be still a whole lot of skepticism about the degree of efficacy, safety, etc., of the Russian vaccine. Fair enough, even if it is a little less, but if it is safe, and even if the efficacy is little less, as long as it is safe, and at the end of the day, if it is made available for our people, let us not split hairs. Bharat Biotech, so far I believe in scientific circles, have given encouraging results. But the way they are sort of conducting the trials, they're doing it the right way, maybe a bit slow. It is extremely unlikely that Covaxin or Bharat Biotech vaccine will be available for practical use, for practical purposes, for population usage anytime before April or maybe May of 2021. Now the question comes that do we have at this point of time some kind of clarity that how vaccines would be distributed in our country? Are we going to allow commercial import of these vaccines, that even though those vaccines which are not being distributed by the government, will they be made officially available in the white market through the medicine shops, through medicine retail? Because if not, then we are going to see the hoax that we had seen, the black marketing, the premium sales, the all kind of unethical businesses that were happening with remdesivir not so long back. So we need clarity on that front. The government has every right to choose that, look, given the price, given the clinical results, etc., the government may choose on vaccine X to be distributed through the government distribution mechanisms at a time that suits the government. But outside of the government distribution systems, we need clarity on the vaccines that may or may not be made available through the millions and trillions of pharmaceutical distributing outlets that we have in our country. And I don't know, probably I'm thinking aloud, But it is better to have a rational policy and clear and policy of some definition and clarity at this stage, rather than to fall into a sort of jumbled up situation of sort of rampant black marketing and push sales all over the place. God forbid, God bless us, that we do not end up the same kind of confusion that we did end up with the lockdown, the 4-hour lockdown being announced in 4 hours, forgetting about 2 crores of migrant laborers, so on and so forth. We've been there, we've seen the chaos. We do not want an action replay of the same process. And apart from that availability of vaccine, there is a lot of fragmented, disjointed and disturbing statistics which is coming. India has about something like an active medical doctor, the strength of doctors working in India, and definitely all of them are not working in pandemic control or respiratory care. Fair enough, it's around 8 lakhs, give it 10 lakhs. So if you include all the ancillary healthcare that may be involved in it, the total strength is not supposed to exceed about 50 lakhs. But somewhere through government sources, an announcement has come that our first priority list, which is primarily mostly of healthcare people, is 30 crores. So do we mean to say that 1/4 of India's population of 130 odd crores is involved in high priority healthcare? It makes no sense at all. And even at the very best, if by early 2021 the only vaccine commitment that we have is from Oxford AstraZeneca, which is around 1 crore dose, then from 1 crore dose you can vaccinate 50 lakh people. So vaccinating a strength of 50 lakh would just about be enough for the priority care of priority healthcare sector. So where did this sudden figure of 30 crores come from? We remain baffled. So this is not the time to have sort of disjointed, helter-skelter kind of planning. Again, a part bureaucracy, a lot of politics, a lot of favoritism, a lot of election campaigning, a lot of muscle flexing that, who can, because people buy illicit, your bootlegged liquor in the states where they have abolition. Vaccine should not get into the same domain. That just to show how influential I am, fair enough, I'll get you a dose of Moderna vaccine, through some, I have a couple of vaccines stashed up in my car boot, exchanging hands for a few lakh of rupees. We must not come to that. And that is why we need clarity today. So let there be a lot of public discourse. Let there be a lot of brainstorming, because unless there is ad hoc decision making in the domain of public health, has not done us much good at all. So friends, as we remain enthused with the scientific success of vaccines, we remain concerned. We are not pessimistic, but we remain genuinely concerned that the distribution mechanisms, identifying the priority, identifying the timeline through which this huge population of this huge country would eventually be vaccinated, requires a lot of clarity, a lot of ethics, and a lot of scientific input. And if you and I maintain the pressure, I think that will be attained. Stay well. God bless us all. Thank you.